Please welcome your very first comedian, Dan Altano.
Hey! What's up, everybody? Welcome to Laugh from Home. Let me get this out of the way before we start. I am married. Thank you. I bring it up because before I come out here, one of the other comedians was like, "Oh, you're married. I bet you miss being single." No, I don't. And here's why. I wasn't good at it. Like at all. Like first dates, those are the worst. I went on a first date with a girl once and we're trying to relate to each other. And I was like, I used to drink a lot in college. She goes, yeah, I tried crack 3 times. What? She goes, yeah, I tried crack 3 times. And I was like, I'm pretty sure you tried crack once. And then you just did crack. It's not a 1-month trial period to Amazon Prime. It's crack. Anyway, when I married her, she quit. No, I'm honestly kidding. She hasn't quit, but every day is a new day. No, I did not really marry the crack girl. I really did go on a first date with a girl who said she tried crack. And this is how desperate I was at the time. In my head, I was like, I could do this. I could date a crackhead. My standards have never been that high. But I couldn't get it out of my head, you know? And then they brought the dessert menu. I'm like, oh, you've got to try the cheesecake. It's like crack. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. But I'm excited to be here, really excited to be here. It's interesting, I found during quarantine what was deemed essential the whole time. Like some things were essential, some things were non-essential. Taco Bell breakfast stayed open the entire time. Taco Bell stayed open the entire time, which means it's deemed essential. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Taco Bell as much as you love Taco Bell, but essential? Really? Like, you need it? Like, nobody goes to a Taco Bell. You end up at a Taco Bell. And like I said, the Taco Bell breakfast was open. Not even just like the nighttime breakfast. How depressed do you have to be to start your day with Taco Bell? You know, like happy, productive people are not getting up and running into Taco Bell. And Taco Bell knows that. They know that it's depressed people coming in. They should change their slogan. It should be Taco Bell breakfast. Don't just wake up, give up. Speaking of giving up, right before quarantine, I did some shows in Atlantic City. Speaking of non-essential, I don't know if you guys have been to Atlantic City in the last couple of years, but whew, that town has fallen off. It's kind of like dark and seedy now. But what's interesting about Atlantic City is that everyone still holds on to the hope of Atlantic City. Like the whole time I'm there, they're still comparing themselves to Las Vegas. Even the slogans are kind of similar. Like, what's the slogan in Las Vegas? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Atlantic City, kind of similar. It's what happens in Atlantic City is disgusting. So don't go there. By the way, I can't tell you how excited I was to do that joke outside of Atlantic City. That's just for you guys. Had a great quarantine overall, I gotta say. I did not get COVID, but I did get a concussion. And this is how I got a concussion. I was playing dinosaur with my 3-year-old son. Yeah, 100% true. I was a T-Rex, and my son was a 3-year-old. He doesn't, have a lot of range. And, I went to scare him, and I went, roar, and I smashed my head on the bottom of my glass kitchen table.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was Googling the symptoms of a concussion. It said the symptoms of a concussion are fatigue, irritability, and depression. And I was like, oh my God, I've always had a concussion. I called my wife and I'm like, honey, we both have concussions. This is insane. I really did feel depressed. I was so depressed. The first thing I did after my concussion went right into Taco Bell. Just went right in, ready to give up. It's crazy that I got a concussion playing dinosaur, considering my mom wouldn't even let me play football when I was in high school because she was worried about concussions. And that set up a really uncomfortable conversation with the high school football coach. Because I was like, Coach, my mom says I can't play football because of the concussions. And he was like, okay, but no one's asking you to play football. You're not on the team. You're small and uncoordinated. You're out of breath just telling me this news. You're failing gym. Why are you in my office? I was like, Coach, I will not be playing football in the fall. He's like, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't want you to play football. I'm like, you sound just like my mom. I learned a lot in quarantine with a 3-year-old son. I learned that my wife doesn't trust me at all with my son, like not at all. So like, I'll give you an example. The other night, my son wasn't feeling well and my wife and I were watching a movie and my wife goes, hey, can you go in his room and just check on him? Just check on his breathing. I was like, all right, it's kind of a dark chore, but okay. I go in there, I check on him, I come back out and I start making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And halfway through making the sandwich, I look up and my wife is staring at me. She's like, well, is he okay? I was like, you think if he wasn't okay, I would stop for a snack first? Before I get to the whole breathing issue? Yeah, honey, I just have to fuel up for the CPR. Don't worry about it. I know for a fact that my wife did not trust me at all when she first got pregnant because she signed me up for a class and it's a real thing called Dad Boot Camp. Yeah, it sounded like a gym class. I dressed for a gym class. It wasn't. It was a bunch of expecting fathers, like soon-to-be dads, sitting around a table talking about what it's going to be like to be a new dad. And it did not go well for me from the start because the teacher came out and he goes, all right, let's go around and say the one thing that scares us the most about being a father. Dan, you go first. I was like, okay, what scares me the most? I love doing stand-up comedy. And I feel like having a baby might mean compromising my dream and maybe even like losing that feeling that makes me feel unique. And then the next guy went and he goes, yeah, I'm mostly scared of my baby choking on food. I was like, oh, I shouldn't have gone first. See, the problem with that story is that I was too honest. You can't be too honest in life. You know, like sometimes you just can't be too honest. Like I had a big show the other day, really important people in the audience. And my friend came backstage. He goes, hey man, big show. You ready? A lot of people here. You nervous? And I was like, please. I was born nervous. Like I didn't expect that much truth to come out. That's why I love that you laughed at that, by the way. That's why I love stand-up comedy. It's the one profession you can just admit that you're nervous and everyone's on board with it. Yeah. You can't do that in any other profession. You can't be like a pilot coming over the intercom like, yes, we're starting our descent into Boston and I'm nervous. I don't know, guys. I don't have a good feeling about this flight. They say turbulence isn't scary, but why does it feel scary from the cockpit? You can't be a nervous pilot. No one wants that. You also don't want a cocky pilot. Like no one wants that. Like, yes, we're starting our descent into Boston and I'm going to land the hell out of this plane. I'm sitting there like, can you just land it normally? I have a connecting flight. Before I go, I just want to say this to the audience. For those of you who are married or know someone who's married, do me a favor after the show, don't give me advice. No, please, like, don't give me advice. Marriage advice, universally, is the dumbest thing in the world. It makes no sense because everybody talks about marriage like we're all part of the same marriage. Like on my bachelor party, my friend got drunk. He's married. He pulls me aside and he goes, hey man, hate to tell you this, but marriage is awful. I was like, I hate to tell you this, but I'm pretty sure marriage to your wife specifically is awful. We're not married to the same person. He kept going. He's like, I'm just saying, marriage is tough. I'm like, no, from now on, you put your wife's name in place of the word marriage and we'll all get to the truth. Like, marriage is tough. Deborah is tough. Marriage will break you. Deborah will break you. And also, by the way, if you've been married a bunch of times, I also don't want your advice because you're clearly not good at marriage. Like, you're bad at it. Like, marriage is the one thing in life that the more times you do it, the worse you are at it. I had a coworker once who was on his 5th marriage, and he started giving me advice. And this is how he started it. He goes, "Hey man, this is not my first rodeo." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the problem. Too many rodeos. Stop going to the rodeo." How do you keep getting people to go to the rodeo with you at this point? You are ruining the institution of rodeos for everybody. The rodeo doesn't want you there. But he kept going. He kept going, giving advice, because that's what people do. And this is the advice he gave me. He goes, "Hey man, you and your wife, you're living together in the city. You're seeing each other all the time. You and your wife still have to remember to keep the flame alive. You and your wife should try role playing." I don't want to know what my wife's fantasy is. It's not going to be me. I tried it once. I was like, "Honey, tonight, you be a sexy nurse." And she goes, "Okay. You be Dave from down the hall." What? From apartment 3B? Okay. I mean, it's just so realistic. Like, "Don't you want me to be a hot cop or a fireman?" She was like, "No, be a lawyer. Dave's a lawyer." Eventually I was like, "You want me to just get Dave? I'll just go get him at this point." She goes, "No, it's Wednesday. He plays tennis on Wednesday." I'm like, "No!" I feel like now that my wife and I have a kid, we have to be more realistic with our role plays. You know, like, it used to be, you be a sexy nurse. And now it's like, you be an exhausted nurse who just worked a double shift. And I'll be a patient in a coma. Which, by the way, is amazing, because even if I fall asleep, she's like, "Baby, you are so into this role play." Oh my God. Guys, I am Dan Altano. You have been so much fun. And now let me bring up the next comedian. He is so funny and talented. Please welcome Matt Jenkins, everybody. Matt Jenkins!
Wow. So strange, but thank you guys for being part of this. This is a cool event. He was talking about quarantine. Dan was talking about quarantine, and it's crazy that we're still in this. I knew things were going to be bad when, for the first time in my life, I heard New Jersey referred to as a hot spot. You could unmute the dog. I want to hear the dog barking during my set. This is great, though. This is like, you know what? I mean, it's weird performing at home, but also I don't have to spend money on gas, and I can just stay in my bedroom. So you guys let me know if an axe murderer walks up behind me. I'm really worried. I live in a bad neighborhood. I can't believe things are still bad, right? I've been quarantined for so long that I'm starting to hate some of my wife's coworkers too. It's tough. Anybody in the arts, I mean, really, I mean, guys, well, don't clap, but nod your heads if you're doing okay during this whole thing. Like, you did okay, you kept your job, you nod your, let me see some heads nod if you're okay. Oh, okay, all right, good. And put the dog on screen. Let me see the dog nods. Yeah, if you're in the arts and stuff, it's been really hard. I mean, my financial situation is so bad that I'm being sponsored by a child in Africa. I got stuck in this conversation recently with a couple of wealthy people, and one of them asked me how my investments were doing. I told them both avocados should be ripe by tomorrow. It's tough. Oh man, I don't know. Things I don't pay my bills on time. I don't know if anyone is also in that horrible situation. If you don't pay your bills on time, this is what will happen. Like a couple weeks later, you'll get another one in the mail that'll be red, and it'll say something like urgent, please pay immediately, right? Like just because the bill's red, I'm gonna all of a sudden have the money to pay for it. It's like, relax, electric provider. I know it's urgent. I'm reading your bill by candlelight. This is actually a candlelight you see in the back. This is not fluorescent, just to keep the joke making sense. So many things are going on. There's so many changes happening. People are doing like all these. I think just as a nation, we're thinking about things differently. Did you guys hear this? That NASCAR banned the Confederate flag at all their races? Because not if you guys heard that. At NASCAR, they banned the Confederate flag at all of their races, right? Which is just crazy because now I have no idea where it's safe to tailgate. I just wanted to see if I can do a race joke with an all-white Zoom crowd. But if I can't do it here, I mean, this is the comfort of my own home. I don't feel comfortable doing it here. I don't know where I would feel comfortable. I don't know. I feel like I feel like a lot of young Black people are wrongfully imprisoned. That's why if I ever have a kid, I want to name them Case Dismissed. The judge is like, state of New Jersey versus Case Dismissed. Well, you're free to go, son. You can get out of here. Your dad got me with that one. Nod your heads if you've ever served prison time. Oh, okay, a few people. I feel like as a society, we need to get rid of the death penalty. And I want to implement something more severe. I want to punish criminals by making them work in retail. Then the judge is like, guilty. I hereby sentence you to life at Kohl's. Right, the defendant's like, oh, come on. I knew I should have taken that Target plea bargain. I don't know. I think if like I were ever on death row, I would want my last meal to be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Just so I can go out on my own terms thanks to my peanut allergy. I'm trying to get into shape. It's hard. I saw a pack of gummy worms the other day that said no artificial flavor. Right? It's like, who buys gummy worms hoping it tastes as close to real worms as possible? Even before all this, like I stopped working out at the gym, right? I stopped working out at the gym because everybody there is just so much stronger than me, right? Like, that's why, to feel better about myself, I started working out at the local physical rehabilitation center. And let me tell you guys, that is like a really big ego boost, because I may not be able to bench press a lot, but I can certainly catch a tennis ball. The therapist is like, you're doing great, Mr. Jenkins. I'm like, wait till you see me walk. I don't know if you ever noticed this though, like whenever you're talking to somebody who recently lost like a lot of weight, for whatever reason, they always want to show you a picture of what they looked like before, right? Like, why do I want to see a picture of you when you were unhealthy? Right? Like, nobody else does that. You're never talking to someone and they're like, oh, today I'm 8 years clean. You're like, wow, congratulations. They're like, thanks. Hey, you want to see a picture of me with a needle in my arm? That's as far as I'll go. That's the line for the edge, okay? I won't go any further than that. Yeah, it's been, like Dan was talking about, it's been weird during quarantine. It's just, it's weird being at home for so long. I finally got to watch Hamilton, though. Do you guys have Disney Plus? Right? They were to really simulate the Broadway experience. I streamed Hamilton on my living room TV, but I watched it from my neighbor's roof. Experience. I love how I could see somebody pointing at the screen. They're like, "Oh, that guy's talking. This guy." Yeah. Oh man, I love movies. I've been watching a ton of movies during this quarantine. One of my problems though is I feel like Hollywood keeps making sequels to movies. Like, I don't know if anybody here saw saw Taken 3. It's the third in the Taken trilogy. That's why there's a 3 at the end of it. I heard this recently that Hollywood's making a 4th one of those movies now. They're coming out with a 4th one of those movies. It's starring a ghetto family. It's called Took. So that's a well-written joke. There's a lot of stereotypes about Black people, though, right? Nod your head, guys, if you no, you don't have to do that. There's a lot of stereotypes about like Black people not being able to swim or growing up without their father, right? Unfortunately, in my case, crowd, those are both true. My father drowned trying to teach me how to swim. Oh, that's a great joke. Come on. That deserves so much better. How crazy is it that I can have an ego over a Zoom show? Oh, man. I think, one of my problems, though, is I need to have, better goals for myself. That's one of my issues. Like, sometimes I'll drive by, a really big, beautiful, luxurious home, and I'll think to myself, wow, one day I would love to clean that. I think one of the worst ways to tell that I already peaked in life is when I opened the time capsule I buried in 1st grade, and I thought to myself, thank God I put $5 in there. Oh, man. I'll tell you guys this. I saw this sign the other day that said, "Drive like your kids live here." So I drove as fast as I could in the opposite direction.
Matt Jenkins, everybody. Matt Jenkins. And now I want to bring up the next comedian. He is so funny. I can't wait for you to hear him. So I'm just going to introduce him right away. Please welcome Ryan Brown, everybody. Ryan Brown.
You guys, I am happy to be here. I am in New York City, but originally I'm from North Carolina. My name's Ryan, and that's how they pronounce it here in New York. Down south, it's just one long syllable. It's just Ryan. Ryan. For years, I thought I was named after the outside of a watermelon. But now I'm in New York. I'm riding out the pandemic in my apartment. I'm ordering a lot of food. Domino's Pizza, that's one of my favorites. Not because of the quality of the pizza, obviously, but rather when you go online to order Domino's Pizza, they have a place where you can put in notes for the delivery person. So now that's where I like to type in all caps, "come alone." Yeah, that's fun because it's something they were probably going to do anyway. And now they're wondering if they should. Wondering if this is really worth $8 an hour. But yeah, man, I mean, I never thought I would say this, but I miss going into the office. I even miss the small talk with my coworkers. It was so educational at times. I once had a woman I work with inform me that chocolate is as addictive as heroin. Here's the problem with that. I've never had heroin. I've only had chocolate. I didn't think it was that addictive. I always thought it was pretty easy to put it down and walk away. So I'm suddenly a lot more open-minded about trying heroin. Haven't you heard? It's only as addictive as chocolate. Give it a try. And if you get hooked, blame Barbara, the accountant. It's all her fault. There's another guy I work with. One time he was telling me when he was a kid, he was a big fan of Indiana Jones. He said that's why he hates snakes, because Indiana Jones hated snakes. And I just think it's funny because that's the same reason I hate Nazis. We identified very different villains from the Indiana Jones franchise. And I'll be honest with you, for many years, those movies were the only reason I hated Nazis. I was a little kid. I didn't know about the genocide. I just thought, wow, how evil are these guys trying to completely wipe out Indiana Jones? And then I learned about the Holocaust, and frankly, that was the last straw. I knew for sure, these are not good people. There's been a lot of canceled plans this year. Man, that's been a bummer. Like normally, every summer, my whole family, we all get together. We go to the beach. It's a great time. I have one uncle who refuses to get in the water. He says he doesn't want to lose his foot to a shark. So instead, he just sits on the shore pounding Mike's Hard Lemonades, which, I mean, they're so full of sugar. It's like, dude, you're still going to lose the foot. At least donate it to a shark. I mean, that's a cooler story than diabetes. But yeah, that's my mom's side of the family. They're a wild bunch. They live in Indiana. Like my aunt is 60 and just started doing meth. Just picked up a meth habit late in life. Good for her, right? Staying active as she gets older, trying out new hobbies, meeting new people. She started doing meth and in the same year got braces. That's a weird midlife crisis. It's like she knows she has a mugshot coming up and she wants to be ready for it. She wants to look her best. She wants her teeth to be as straight as possible when they fall out. Actually, my aunt found out that I've been talking about her like this when I do comedy and wasn't happy. She confronted me about it. She was all self-righteous. Like, how do you sleep? Well, I don't do meth. That goes a long way. That helps. I can see why you would have that question. Yeah, I've never done meth, and I don't think I will. Because when I was growing up, I went through something called the DARE program. Yeah, a police officer came to my 5th grade classroom, and they said that drugs and alcohol would destroy my memory. But I'll be honest with you. If that were true, I would not remember them telling me that. But yeah, they warned us. I remember he warned us that we might be tempted to smoke marijuana because it would make us look cool. That's ridiculous, right? I mean, we all know that smoking weed doesn't make you look cool. It makes everything else look cool. I've never seen a pothead and been like, man, that guy looks awesome. I have surely been high out of my mind looking at a dog like, what, 4 legs? That is genius. Why aren't we all doing this? I mean, no wonder they can run so fast. I learned recently that pigs are actually smarter than dogs. Yeah, and I think that's why you've never seen a drug-sniffing pig. Pigs know that the war on drugs is costly and ineffective. Dogs actually think it's working. It's their worst quality as an animal. They're loyal, they're friendly, but they have draconian beliefs about drug policy. That's why I'm a cat person. I have a girlfriend, and that is going pretty well. We've been together a long time. We've been together almost 10 years, and we're not married. People always assume that's my fault. Right? Like I'm dragging my feet. Right? But it's actually her. My girlfriend is scared of marriage. Her number one fear is spiders. Number two fear, marriage. Her worst nightmare would be a spider getting down on 7 knees and asking her to make it the happiest arachnid in the world. She reacts very differently when she sees a spider and when she sees a marriage, which is good. That would be embarrassing at our friends' weddings. Like, you may now kiss the bride. Like, kill it! Oh, kill it! It's gonna make babies. Come on, what are we doing? Yeah, I do think we'll get married eventually. She's great. We get along well. There's only a few things we disagree on. One of them is that she believes in ghosts, and I'm a little skeptical. Like, we were at an Airbnb in Vermont, and she decided it was haunted because one of the lights turned on all by itself. And she was like, see, now don't you believe in ghosts? Didn't that freak you out? No, not really. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't fully understand how electricity works in the first place. I have no idea why the light turned on all by itself, but I also have no idea why the light turns on when I hit the switch. Right? That's its own mystery. But I'm not going to jump to the conclusion that it's a ghost. I mean, I don't think I'm qualified to have such a bold opinion on this topic I don't really understand. I don't know how the economy works, but I've never wondered if the NASDAQ might be haunted. You know? I think on these issues, we just have to trust the experts. And you know who's not allowed to blame ghosts? A professional electrician. They can't walk into your home like, what's that? It's that light right there? It's just turning on all by itself for no reason. Oh, no, yeah, it's a ghost for sure. Trust me, I went to school for this. I remember the ghost chapter pretty well. I'll be $500, please. But I'm 31, just turned 31, so a lot of my friends are already married. You know, everybody's moving on to having kids. And whenever someone has a baby, they always tell you how much it weighs. That's always a part of the introduction for some reason. Like I care, right? Like I'm going to bowl with it. 10 pounds. Oh, that's a strike waiting to happen. Give it here. Let's do this. Get a turkey with that little fella. Let's be honest. The only reason we do that with babies is it's the only unique thing about them, right? There's no personality developed yet. The only thing to talk about is how hard gravity pulls on them. That's all they have going on in their little baby lives. You can't introduce a fully developed person that way. It's very rude. Just gloss over everything unique, just straight to the physical mass. Yo, my friend Brad's coming out with us tonight. If there is one thing you got to know about Brad, 265. That's what he's about. The birth announcements, they always include the weight. Wedding announcements, almost never. Curious. I would love to open that envelope, right? Like, save the date, this coming May. The 186-pound Michael Delaney will be taking the 132-pound Courtney Spencer's hand in marriage, creating a more than 300-pound union commitment. Be there for the final weigh-in right after they eat the cake. We're going to see how heavy these two can get. You guys, that has been my time. You guys have been so much fun. Thank you very much.
That was Ryan Brown, everybody. And now, bringing up your next comedian. She is so funny, performs all over the country. Please welcome Sonya Vai.
Hey, guys. It's so great to be here among such a diverse group of black boxes. It just makes me feel, warms my heart, you know, all that support is great. And some people, obviously. So thank you for being here. You know, Matt was talking a lot about race. He kept saying everybody here is white, but I'm not. And that's why I'm very aware of race, because nobody knows mine. But most people assume Native American, which makes no sense to me, because I look nothing like Elizabeth Warren. I mean, come on, you know? But in college, like these kids, they would bully me. They called me Pocahontas. They danced around me like, ah, every day for 4 years. Can you believe that? But I took the high road. I just ignored them. You know what? Because I was not about to lose my Cherokee scholarship. I graduated like, I win. And then I realized, I was like, you know what? Now I'm just going to identify as racially fluid. I love it because, like, I get to mess with people all the time. I'm Persian when I want a discount on a rug. You know, I'm white when I want to speak to the manager. And I was Mexican recently, and that was the best because I got a free trip to Cancun, paid for by Trump. Don't get too worked up. It was only one way. The irony is I am actually Indian, but not casino, just tech support. Okay? There are two different kinds. Yep. What's crazy is even growing up in my community, nobody believed I was Indian. Like, to prove it, I was forced to take one of those ancestry tests by my dad. And I even showed him the results. I'm like, Dad, look, I'm 92% Indian. He goes, 92% fail. Indian dads, right? You know what else is a fail? 2020, right? 2020. This year's been awful. Corona has completely derailed my plans. Pre-pandemic, my goal was to have my own comedy special on Netflix. And now my only goal is to stop watching Netflix. Damn you, Tiger King. You know, things aren't all that bad. I actually got out of debt this year. I'm debt free for the first time in my life. So thank you so much. I'm really proud of myself, you know, because I didn't need anybody's help to declare bankruptcy. I did that on my own because I'm an independent woman. And I've also found a small upside to COVID. It's a great excuse, I find, for when you don't want to have sex. I just say I can't. You know, my vagina is social distancing. And definitely no more mouth stuff, you know, because this is not an essential business. Okay, sorry, guys. This business has shuttered. I actually started reading more actual physical books, and it's great. I feel smarter. Even my vocabulary has improved. I mean, now I'm using big words men don't understand, like no. Not even if it's your birthday. But I find that when it comes to, you know, to say no to men, I find the best way to communicate with them is on their level. So let's say a guy asks me to do butt stuff. I simply say no. I will not do anal. I do not like it. I do not like it in a car. I do not like it in a bar. I do not like it here or there. I do not like it anywhere. I would not, could not in a house, not even if you were my spouse. So hush your mouth, take off your socks. You're only welcome in my box. No means no, Sam, I am. Women, feel free to use that whenever you need. I'm in my 30s. Oh, thank you, dead silence. That's what I'm used to every time. I appreciate that. I'm in my 30s and single, and my dad is so desperate to get me married that he greets me by saying, Sonya, #time's up. It's not time's up on being single, okay? And I just had a birthday recently, and my dad's present was marriage advice. He was like, Sonya, the woman ages like the dog. And at your age, you are really 226 years old. I was like, what happens when I turn 40? He goes, dogs don't live that long. You know, right? It's insane. And I was like, screw that. I look fabulous for 226. don't know. My dad believes in arranged marriage. It's an Indian tradition. If you don't know what that is, it's when you get set up on a blind date that you can never leave. And he wants me to have an arranged marriage, because of tradition. And I call bullshit, okay? The only reason my dad had to have an arranged marriage was because he was poor and he had no game. All right. But do you guys really think like a rich man in India needs an arranged marriage? Hell no. He could go up to any woman in a village and say, "Hey, you want to marry me? I have hot water." Be like Oprah. He'd be like, "You get hot water, you get hot water, you get hot water, you get hot water." Insane, right? That's how polygamy started, guys. I'm convinced. Indoor plumbing. My dad's not, it's funny because my dad's not the only one who is shaming me about my age. I feel like it's everywhere now that I'm in my 30s. Like even when I go online, Instagram keeps showing me these targeted ads to freeze my eggs. I'm like, who's paying for these ads? It's my dad. He's cyber stalking me. Yeah. The ad goes, "Sonya, your eggs are rotting." And I'm sorry, but I just don't think it's fair. Men never go through this, right? Men can have babies until they die. Like a man my age can choose to never have kids and then change his mind at 86 and jizz out a baby with his geriatric sperm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, chances are it'll be defective, but what does he care? He'll be dead before the symptoms show. And like, I want that option, right? Forget equal pay. Give me equal fertility. I want to jizz out a baby at 86. And I actually did click on the ad one day. Did you guys know it costs $30,000 to freeze your eggs? Yeah. I'm on unemployment, okay? I can't afford that. I can't even afford to buy eggs. Supermarket eggs. That's where I am in life. And honestly, if I had $30,000, I wouldn't freeze my eggs. I just buy a baby. Or as Angelina Jolie calls it, adopt, Forget it. I go to India and buy 10 babies because sadly, brown babies are cheaper. I think that might be too real for the white people. Sorry, we'll move on. I don't know. The whole concept of freezing your eggs is insane, right? Like as a woman, I think women, we just deserve better choices. I mean, I want a better technology. I want the kind of technology where I can get pregnant now while my body's young, have the baby, and then just freeze the baby. You're welcome. It's the perfect plan. I'm telling you. No, I'm not. It gives me the one thing I don't have, time. Okay, time to find the man of my dreams. And when I think about it, the man I want to make my baby with isn't necessarily the man I want to raise my baby with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want my baby daddy to be a stud like Chris Hemsworth. But I want my baby's father to be a dud like Chris Christie. Never leave. I don't know. Freezing babies, I just think it gives you so many options, Like, if I find the man of my dreams and we don't want it, I'll just leave it there frozen. Easy. And if we want it, I'll defrost it. Just stick it in the microwave. I'm sure there's a baby button somewhere next to the popcorn button, right? Plus, it's cheaper. Like, you never need a babysitter. You want to take a nap? Just throw it on ice, right? And if he acts out, I'll just be like, "Look, baby, I thawed you into this world and I will freeze you back out." Okay? That's a real timeout. I don't know. I'm not going to stop until I find a way to freeze babies. I'm going to make this happen, guys. And when I do, it'll be free for everybody, unlike healthcare. Guys, thank you so much. I'm Sonya Vai, and it is my pleasure to introduce the next comedian. You've seen him on Netflix, and he had the #1 comedy album on iTunes. Guys, give it up for Eric Neumann.
Yes. Oh my God. One more time for Sonya Vai and all the comics you saw before me. Oh, this is so exciting. I'm so happy to be here. This is how we have to perform right now. This is how we have to do it. I told my mom that stand-up is phase 4. And she goes, "I'm so happy you finally admit it's a phase," which is very hurtful. It's the phase of my life called my career. Thanks, Mom. I'm in therapy. Anybody else in therapy? If you're wooing, you need more therapy. That's generally the I'm not cured yet. Keep going. I just actually found out my mom and I have the same therapist, which is, it's weird. It's weird. But it's cool because, like, he's sworn to confidentiality. Like, he can't even legally admit that he knows who my mom is. So I have to, like, to test him to see how professional he is. Like, the other day I was like, oh, my mom's so overbearing, man, I can't take it. She's in therapy to get help, but says her therapist is an unhelpful moron. Can't even believe he has a degree, really. He's like, oh, that's weird because I have a patient whose son is a real asshole. Sorry, touché, sir. You won that battle. I had a weird upbringing. My dad was schizophrenic, and it was confusing growing up with a dad with schizophrenia, especially growing up as a Jew. You know, because my mom was always like, Jesus doesn't exist. But then my dad would pull me to the side and he'd be like, hey, listen, I'm Jesus. He's a wacko, that woman. She's crazy. That's it. Both my parents are Jewish. Turned out to be the only thing they had in common. A lot of anti-Semitism going on now. A lot of anti-Semitism, and I only agree with most of it. I was walking out of my building the other day, and I saw my doorman, Mark. I'm only telling you this to let you know I have a doorman. I'm doing very well. I'm in a bedroom. And I was like, hey, Mark, how's it going? He goes, not so good. I just got suspended from Facebook for 30 days again. And the second he said again, I'm like, it's probably his fault. Mark, what are you doing? But I asked him, I was like, why'd you get suspended? And he goes, I just posted a quote. It was a Hitler quote, but it wasn't about the Holocaust or anything. Just a regular quote. I was like, oh, just a regular inspirational Hitler quote? Just a feel-good, uplifting Hitler quote? True friends are always there for you, Adolf Hitler. No, you can't. No matter what it is, you cannot post it. And then he got defensive. He was like, whoa, my wife's Jewish. I'm like, yeah, she's probably the one who reported you on Facebook. That's pretty obvious. That's who I had to quarantine with this man, this monster in my building. Everybody, you know, the weird thing about quarantine is, like, everybody went through COVID together. You know, we all went through COVID, but everybody had their own individual experiences with it, you know? My cousin who's 18 years old, he quarantined with his mom and dad, and he texted me a few months ago. He's like, dude, I just walked in on my parents having sex. So gross. I'm like, why? That's healthy, you know? Like my parents are divorced, you know? I always walked in on my parents not having sex. That was concerning. My cousin should feel lucky his parents are still having sex. And if he has to walk in on them every once in a while, small price to pay for family happiness, don't you think? You watch 1 second of sex, and in exchange you get to go on relaxing vacations. That deal. I would have watched my parents every second of the day for a relaxing vacation. I would have had my eyes taped open, Clockwork Orange style. A reference for everyone over 30. Look, all I'm saying is it's important for kids to know their parents are happy. That's why when I get married and have kids, I am only having sex with my wife when I know we're going to get caught. Exclusively. Like, my wife's going to make a move on me in the morning, like, hey, Eric, the kids are at school. And I'll be like, all right, well, when they get home, you're going to get it. Just put on some romantic music and unlock the door. We're doing that. That's why it's so important to choose the right partner, man. You gotta choose the right partner. Like, everybody gives you advice about dating. It's, like, annoying. This is the one my friend's been telling me for 10 years. He goes, yo, Eric, you got to meet a girl before you become rich, because then you'll know she really loves you. He goes, look at LeBron James. That was the example he used. LeBron James. He goes, LeBron met his wife in high school, right? So you know she really loves him. She dated him before he was LeBron James. I'm like, yeah, but it's not like there weren't signs. Becky, you'll never guess who just asked me out. You know that guy LeBron who's 6'9" and averages 85 points per game? Yeah, the one for Sports Illustrated at 14 years old. Yeah, I think I'm gonna roll the dice on him. I know. It's a long shot. I'm gonna go for it. I have no idea what he wants to do for his career. I know for fun he likes to hop over school buses, but for a career, who knows? LeBron just won his 4th championship. He's undeniable. You can't hate on him. The guy's undeniable. Second best basketball player of all time after Kobe. No, it's after Jordan. But Kobe's my favorite player of all time. I love him so much. The day he died, it was so devastating to me. It hurt me so much. And this comic I know saw that I was upset, and he came up to me. He's like, "Yo, you were right, bro." I was like, "The Kobe thing, it just hit me really hard." And then he started being condescending. He's like, "Well, did you know him personally or something?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "So why are you so upset?" I'm like, "One thing has nothing to do with the other. For example, I know you personally, and your death wouldn't affect me at all." Plus, Kobe had so many great qualities, right? He was great athlete, great businessman, great father, became a better husband. You guys familiar with the 2003 incident in Denver? He was such a smart guy. I'm not smart. That's not me. I failed all my classes in high school, history and English. I don't know punctuation or grammar. I have to be honest with you guys. The only reason I know what a pronoun is because the word has been mentioned very often in the battle for transgender rights. Right? Everybody's use the proper pronoun. I messed up at first because this person I knew from childhood recently transitioned from a man to a woman. And I was talking to my friend about it the other day. I was like, man, he transitioned so quickly. And my friend goes, Eric, that's the wrong pronoun. I was like, oh shit, sorry. He transitioned so fastly. Yeah, I failed all my classes, and just a rough childhood. I got into a lot of fist fights growing up. I got into 11 fist fights. I lost 10. The 11th got broken up right before I lost. So here was my most memorable one. All right, it was 7th grade lunchtime, and this kid Chris Sullivan tried to bully me, and he was holding a fountain soda, and I slapped it out of his hand. It went all over his shirt, and he goes, "Meet me after school by the willow trees." I'm like, this is Manhattan. There are no willow trees. But we meet after school, and he goes, I'm going to give you 2 options. Either you get down on your knees, say you're sorry, and I pour this bottle of water all over your head, or we fight. And I got to be honest, it was a 90-degree day, so I'm like, I'll take the bottle of water option. And it was the right option because the next day I overheard 2 boys talking about what happened. And the first boy was like, what happened yesterday after school? I couldn't make it. And the second boy was like, apparently Chris Sullivan baptized that Jewish kid. And then he beat the shit out of him. But before that, man, you guys have been so much fun. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Have a good night.